Hello, today we are exploring Amazon India's performance. We'll analyze sales and profitability over the last 5 years through this in-depth exploratory data analysis.
3,940 crore rupees. Yeah, just let that number sink in for a second. We're not talking about a revenue goal here or some massive new investment fund. That staggering figure, that is the absolute peak financial loss Amazon India took in a single year, specifically back in FY23. I mean, it's a number so huge, it's honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. It was essentially a massive, gaping leak in the hull of one of the most famous corporate ships on the planet. Which brings us to a really fascinating puzzle. How in the world does an e-commerce giant just bounce back from a nearly 4,000 crore deficit? Naturally, when a company is bleeding that kind of cash, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is, well, just sell more stuff, right? But as you're going to see, the real solution here went way beyond just shoving more products into digital shopping carts. So let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are decoding the Amazon India turnaround, decoding the FY25 break-even. I'm super excited to walk you through this wild financial comeback story. We're going to break down the hard data, peek at their internal strategies, and uncover the plot twists that actually took Amazon India from hemorrhaging billions of rupees to being right on the edge of actual profitability. Let's get to it.
First up, Part 1. The era of huge losses, tracing the financial bleed.
Think about the sheer financial roller coaster they've been on. Back in FY21, they were posting crazy high losses of about 3,612 crore. Then, the next year, FY22, they actually managed to pull that down to 2,445 crore. So, the little glimmer of hope, right? But then, bam, FY23 hits. This was the ominous peak. Losses just ballooned massively back up to that 3,940 crore figure we started with. FY24, still super heavy at a 3,400 crore loss. But then, look at the projection for FY25. They're aiming for a near break-even with just a 374 crore loss. It is literally a miraculous recovery trajectory, pointing straight toward finally turning a true profit. When you analyze that trajectory, a really stark reality emerges. For years, this sustained heavy bleeding was just the norm for them. I mean, despite Amazon's total brand dominance, we all use it, right? They were losing money hand over fist, which makes that sudden razor-sharp upward projection toward FY25 seem, well, almost impossible. Like, how do you flip the script that dramatically, that fast? That takes us to Part 2, the two-part revenue engine, how Amazon actually makes money. To really grasp this turnaround, we've got to pop the hood and look at the sales engine itself. Most of us immediately associate Amazon with those massive, blockbuster sale events, but the data tells a slightly different story. Festive and seasonal sales, those big events, they make up about 40 to 45% of annual sales. But regular year-round sales, they actually edge the festive ones out, bringing in 55 to 60%. It's a bit of a surprise, honestly, that the everyday regular sales are the bigger piece of the pie here. Let's put those two engines side by side for a second. On one hand, you have the absolute chaos and high volume of festive and seasonal sales. We're talking the Diwali rushes, the Great Indian Festival, Prime Day. It's totally driven by deep discounts, and it creates these massive temporary spikes in revenue. On the other hand, you've got the regular year-round engine. And this isn't just about someone buying a phone charger on a random Tuesday. We're talking marketplace services, advertising revenue, logistics, delivery fees. That is the steady, service-based income that silently, relentlessly keeps the whole machine running in the background.
But the core philosophy is pretty simple. Festive sales drive the spikes, but regular sales sustain the growth. It is a really healthy dual-engine system. But here is the catch. As healthy as those sales are, they don't fully explain how Amazon stopped bleeding billions of rupees almost overnight between FY24 and FY25. Like we said earlier, you absolutely cannot just discount your way out of a 4,000 crore hole.
Which brings us to Part 3, the secret weapon against fraud, stopping the leaks.
Okay, here is the missing piece of our puzzle. Enter some internal Amazon jargon that is honestly the unsung hero of this whole story, CAP. That stands for Concession Abuse Prevention. Essentially, this is Amazon's highly aggressive, strategic initiative completely dedicated to reducing fraud, stopping fake returns, and cracking down on system abuse to protect their bottom line. CAP is literally the ultimate plot twist in this financial turnaround, because it wasn't just about outselling their losses, they had to outsmart the scammers.
Let's walk through what CAP actually looks like on the ground, because it hits four massive pillars.
First off, a significant decrease in fake returns. People sending back empty boxes or totally different, cheap items. Second, a sharp decrease in refund scams, where bad actors exploit system loopholes for free cash. Third, and this one is huge for the bottom line, a massive decrease in support costs. Think about it. Fewer scams mean you need way fewer customer service hours investigating them, which drastically slashes overhead. And finally, the fourth pillar, a major increase in seller trust. When the sellers know the platform actually protects them from fraud, they feel safe to invest more heavily in the ecosystem. The whole thing just creates this incredible flywheel of trust and efficiency.
And finally, part 4, the path to profitability, balancing sales and security.
When you bring all these threads together, you finally see the true formula for their comeback. That miraculous financial recovery we looked at, it wasn't just magic, and it wasn't just higher sales volume. It is intrinsically tied to that CAP strategy. Hitting profitability in FY25 was the destination for sure, but the vehicle that got them there was a hardcore dual effort, keeping those dual sales engines roaring while ruthlessly plugging the leaks by eliminating fake returns, ending refund scams, lowering those support costs, and building up that critical seller trust.
It really all boils down to this: enhanced profitability through reduced losses. The absolute biggest takeaway from this whole explainer is that growth isn't always about just blindly doubling your top-line sales. Sometimes the most effective way to become profitable is to look inward, audit your own vulnerabilities, and just stop your system from being scammed. Amazon India didn't just sell their way out of a 4,000 crore deficit, they secured their way out of it.